The first of many future days in court for former Senator Ralph Shorty, OU has second thoughts about how it handled an active shooter on Greek Row, and President Trump's first legislative offensive ends in humiliation. This is OU Nightly.
A disgraced former state senator facing charges of child prostitution today took his next steps into the criminal justice system.
Just after lunch, accused sex criminal Ralph Shorty made his first appearance in court since police arrested him on March 9th in a Moore hotel room with a 17-year-old male. As they made their way to the Cleveland County Courthouse and waiting reporters, Shorty and his legal team had nothing to say. Shorty resigned from his state Senate seat earlier in the week, leaving South Oklahoma City with no representation. Today, he stood before a Cleveland County judge who issued a court date when Shorty will officially enter a plea to the charges. Afterward, Shorty and his attorney brushed past reporters, declining to comment.
The next time we're likely to see Ralph Shorty is April 11th at 1 p.m., again in the Cleveland County Court. He remains free on a $100,000 bond.
In the wake of Shorty's legal drama, a bill authored by the former senator could be in jeopardy. Senate Bill 512 is aimed at rolling back criminal justice reforms that Oklahomans approved back in November with state questions 780 and 781. Shorty has been struck as the bill's author, and it appears dead in the water.
The atmosphere here on the OU campus is returning to normal today after late Wednesday night rampage left an OU student dead, and administrators are rethinking how they handled it. The incident began Wednesday around 11 p.m. when this 21-year-old OU student, Vincent Valentine, was confronted while destroying shrubs in an East Norman Walmart where he once worked. After pointing a gun at an employee, Valentine took off, only to show up later on OU's Greek Row. That's where he crashed his car through the fence at the Phi Gamma Delta fraternity, jumped out, and began shooting at the back of the house. After his gun reportedly jammed, Vincent ran into a residential neighborhood where he committed suicide. As word of the active shooter blazed across social media, nearby fraternity and sorority houses went into lockdown. But despite the close proximity of thousands of students at OU claiming the incident was officially off campus, never activated its emergency warning system.
Time they tell you that your house is on lockdown, you kind of, you don't want to play with that, you actually want to listen. And we were able to watch through our house window, and when you see 3 cop cars pull up, a fire truck, an ambulance, something bad happened.
And supposedly there was an armed man. We didn't quite know because there wasn't an alert from campus or President Boren, so we were kind of unsure. And
today, President Boren's spokesman said, in light of Wednesday's incident, OU is carrying out a review of its procedures to improve the timeliness of warnings, and particularly in urgent situations.
Well, Sydney, other than some wind that's been kind of tough on my hair, this has been a pretty good week for weather, I'd say.
Yeah, the weather's been great in Norman, but I'm looking forward to see what we have this weekend. Erica?
That's right. Currently, we are under red flag warning due to those very strong winds that are affecting most of the central part of the state. But that red flag warning is affecting central and southern counties in Oklahoma currently, and this is until 7 p.m. tonight. And as well as we are monitoring risk for severe storms for the eastern part of the state, where they are under a marginal risk for tonight. And that is because currently we are seeing a line of storms that is affecting the eastern part of the state, but that is pushing east. And after this pushes east, we are going to see much better conditions starting for tomorrow and Saturday. But in main weather, I will talk about what we can expect for Sunday and the rest of the week. Now back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Erica.
The Oklahoma Department of Human Services is preparing for a budget cut that would reduce or eliminate health and safety programs for seniors, children, and the disabled. The reduction could be as much as 14%, which would be almost $147 million. DHS Director Ed Lake says that his department has reached a point where it can no longer protect Oklahomans from consequences of budget cuts.
Still ahead on OU Nightly, funding for the arts may be in trouble.
Plus, we have the latest on the GOP healthcare bill.
President Trump's latest budget proposal wants to eliminate the federal funding for the arts. Under the proposal, programs like the National Endowment for Arts and Humanities and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, would be cut. The Sooner Theater receives grants funded by the NEA and says programs financed by these grants would be eliminated.
We receive, or the funds that we use to put on the plays that we do and to teach the classes that we teach and to do all the things we do, come from donations, and a significant amount of those donations are grants from places like the Oklahoma Arts Council and the Norman Arts Council.
Another organization that benefits from the National Endowment for the Arts is the Moore Lindsay Historical House Museum in Norman. NEA money is given to the states and is then given to local arts councils, which distribute the money through grants. Without these grants, programs in the museum would also find it difficult to get the money they need.
It would make it a bit challenging to get this great wealth of information and history out to the public. And that's kind of ultimately our goal as a museum, is to provide accurate and interesting information to the public in an accessible and easy way.
OU Nightly's Abby Green is in the News Center with the latest on the GOP bill. Abby?
House Republican leaders decided not to vote on the rewrite of the health care bill after realizing there would not be enough support to pass it. Speaker of the House Paul Ryan said it is a disappointing day for the party, and President Trump said to let Obamacare explode. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi said today was a victory for the American people. The death toll in London's worst terrorist attack in more than a decade rose overnight with the death of a 75-year-old British citizen. On Wednesday, Khalid Massoud drove an SUV into pedestrians on the Westminster Bridge, leaving 4 people dead and injuring dozens of people before police shot and killed him. Investigators are still questioning 4 suspects as they try to determine whether Massoud acted alone or had accomplices. President Trump signed a permit today allowing for the construction of the Keystone XL pipeline. Last November, President Obama rejected the building of the pipeline after months of protest. The pipeline would link Canada to the Gulf of Mexico, and supporters say it will ensure national energy security, while opponents claim it will negatively impact the climate. In Sydney, a man pleaded guilty on the gun charges in the Pizzagate case.
Thank you, Abby.
Thank you, Abby. Yeah. All right, well, coming up next on OU Nightly, Eric is going to give us a little bit more with what's coming with the weather.
That's right, guys. Right now we are seeing a very gorgeous sunny day, but I will talk about this and more for Maine weather. Nightly, and currently we are seeing those very sunny skies, as well as we are feeling very strong winds over our state. Temperatures are currently at 78 degrees, and those skies remain sunny, with winds still blowing from the southwest at 24 miles an hour, and those dew points are very low at 26, and that is causing those red flag warnings that we are seeing currently over our state. And again, we are seeing on our radar that those storms that are pushing east are looking to clear out in the next few hours, and this is due to that system that is going to push east, and that is going to affect portions of the eastern part of the country. And then as we take a look at current conditions across the state, we are seeing a very pleasant spring-like day with temperatures around the 70s and 60s for the eastern part of the state. But even Guyman is seeing temperatures at 51 currently, so we are seeing very nice conditions, and those relative humidity values are very variable across the state. Those humidity values in the eastern part, where those rain showers are affecting that area, are very high, even 93% in Muskogee. And then for central part of the state, those are very low, between 10 and 20% for the central part of the state. And then if we take a look at the western part of the state, 77% for relative humidity. So those relative humidity values are all over the place currently, but those winds continue to be strong for most part of the state. Those winds between 20 and 25 miles per hour for Oklahoma City, 15 miles per hour in Norman, and then those winds are continuing to blow from the southwest at 20 miles per hour. But what we can expect for Sunday is we do have a severe weather outlook. We're in the marginal risk for Norman and Oklahoma City. So what we can expect from these storms are probabilities of hail, strong winds, and this radar forecast shows us that those storms will be pushing east that we are seeing currently. We're going to see a very nice Saturday, and then we can expect rain chances again for Sunday over our area in central part of the state. But in the next few days, we can expect nice conditions, temperatures around the 70s, and then we see instability over our portion of the state for the rest of the next week.
Well, I'm really excited for the weather on Saturday. It's going to be so
It's
nice to
very
get
nice.
outside, get away from class, and just relax a little
Before
bit.
those rain chances move in for next
Yeah,
week.
but that
course.
wind just won't quit around here.
Exactly. Hey, it's good for some photos. Well, that's it for news this Friday night, but don't leave just yet. Big Friday Sports is on deck.
Our sports team gives you an extended look at what's happening in the world of sports. Reagan Ledbetter is here with more.
Thanks, guys. Spring is here, and that means football is back with the spring game quickly approaching. Plus, the Sooners have their hands full replacing Blitnikoff winner Dede Westbrook. Big Friday Sports is next.
Welcome to Big Friday Sports. I'm Madeline Roberts, and he's Reagan Ledbetter.
Well, spring has sprung, and that means baseball.
That's right, the OU baseball team is back in action tonight, coming off a loss to in-state rival Oklahoma State on Tuesday. The Sooners kept the game close and trailed by 1 run late, but lost to the Cowboys. That game, however, doesn't count toward Big 12 play, which begins tonight for the Sooners against Baylor in Waco at 6:35.
And after a 7-game road trip, the OU softball team is back at home for a 4-game weekend. Well, kind of. The Sooners kick off the college preview tournament here in Norman tonight against Mississippi State, but head up to OKC tomorrow for a pair of games against Louisiana Tech and UAB. OU rounds out the weekend on Sunday with a morning matchup with UAB once again.
And spring also means it's spring football time in Oklahoma. The spring game is slated for April 8th, and the Sooners are hard at work on both sides of the ball, preparing for the annual event. The Sooners return most of their starters on defense, which will look to build on its improvement from last season.
We want to go one game at a time. We want to work every single day, one day at a time as well. And so we're going to come out every single day in practice, go as hard as we can, offense versus defense. We have to pretty much hate each other because we're going to go against each other every single day. That's the best offense in the country, and we want to be the best defense in the country.
And for the second straight year, the Oklahoma offense looks to replace a game-breaking receiver who left for the riches and fame of the NFL. And as Tori Johnson tells us, for the second straight year, no one is quite sure just who that playmaker will be.
Mayfield looking for him again. He's got it, and he's got speed. Watch out, Dede Westbrook again.
Last season, Dede Westbrook entered spring practice as one of several OU receivers who are hoping to be the next Sterling Shepard. Shepard put up some amazing numbers in his 4 years at Norman, only to see many of them surpassed by Westbrook in a season worthy of a Heisman finalist. So, who's the next man up?
When Shep left, everyone wondered, well, who can be that guy? And obviously Dede answered that call. And I don't know that it has to be a guy, though. I believe if you have a really strong core of receivers, it can be different guys in different games. I believe all those guys can. Jordan Smallwood to, Dahu Green, A.D. Miller.
And you can add to that list a couple more receivers who could easily become fan favorites here at Owen Field. Norman native Nick Basquin might fill the role, as well as speedster Marquise Brown. Brown is a JUCO transfer who is listed at 157 pounds, but that might be pushing it just a tad.
Does Marquise Brown really weigh 148 pounds?
I think so. I'm not sure. I don't really care. He may have gained a couple. He might be in the 150s now. But we won't ask him to kick out any linebackers, but we'll ask him to get behind a lot of people, and he can really go.
Very fast, one of the fastest players I've seen. The quarterbacks just kind of like to joke around during plays and just chuck the ball up to him and see if they can run onto it. So it's fun to watch him play for sure. He may be a little faster than Dede, but both of them are great players. It's really exciting to see that we have a guy like that can, just kind of, blaze it and run. So it's nice to have a guy that kind of can fill that role that Dede had, that just can kind of take the top off.
So there are plenty of pass catchers who could become Oklahoma's next big play guy. But one thing's for sure, if they stay healthy, Andrews himself will be catching plenty of Baker Mayfield's throws, adding to his career total of 14 touchdowns. Tori Johnson, Big Friday Sports.
And switching gears to basketball, OU men's head basketball coach Lon Kruger is picking up an award next weekend. Kruger will receive the National Association of Basketball Coaches Metropolitan Award for long and outstanding service to men's college basketball. Kruger's son Kevin, an OU assistant coach, will present the award to Kruger at the annual AT&T NABC Guardians of the Game Awards show April 2nd.
And it's week 2 of the NCAA tournament, and man, did it heat up last night as 4 Sweet 16 games took place out west. And Ducks, it was tight from the start. With under 5 minutes to go, it was a 5-point game, and it was nothing but back and forth from there. Michigan makes a run and was able to get up a last-second shot, but the bucket said no, thank you. Oregon eventually would go on to win 69-68. And to my Gonzaga friends, congrats. Your team is now one step closer to somewhere they've never been, the Final Four. It was back and forth throughout for Gonzaga and West Virginia. The Mountaineers had every chance to pull the upset, but couldn't keep up with the shooters for the Zags. A last-second shot wasn't enough, as Gonzaga is now moving on. Look at that, buckets all night from Gonzaga. Here we go. The worst, 17 seconds of basketball I've seen in a long time. Can't even hit the rim on this. Unbelievable.
Wow. And we head back to the Midwest, Kansas and Purdue, where the Jayhawks dominated, especially in the second half. Kansas guards Frank Mason III and Devontae Graham poured in 26 points apiece as the #1 seed Kansas coasted to a 98-66 victory over the Purdue Boilermakers and to a spot in the Elite Eight. And then back in the West region, the #2 seed Arizona falls to the #11 seed Xavier in arguably the biggest upset of this year's tournament so far. The Wildcats were up 8 with just under 4 minutes to go, but then went cold, couldn't make a shot as the Musketeers closed on a 9-0 run to head to its first Elite Eight in a decade.
And speaking of the madness, 8 more teams looking to punch their ticket tonight to the Elite Eight. In the South region, we have a pair of big matchups. North Carolina Butler in the first and Kentucky UCLA in the second. I've got UNC in the first, and I think I'm going to go with John Calipari and the Kentucky Wildcats in Game 2. Madeline, who you got?
I'm with you for the first game. I don't think Butler can keep up with North Carolina, but UCLA is the team I have winning it all, so I'm going to pick them to beat the Wildcats. And in the East region, we've got Wisconsin and Florida going head-to-head, and Baylor taking on South Carolina. I'm going with the upset in both games. I think Wisconsin and South Carolina win tonight. What do you think, Reagan?
I like your style, Mad Rob. I like it. I think Wisconsin's going to pull the upset as well. I like what they did to Nova. In the second game, I'm a little more torn, but I see Baylor taking the win and punching their ticket. They're just too talented on offense.
I agree. Still to come on Big Friday Sports, a former Sooner is making a name for himself in the big leagues.
And welcome back to Big Friday Sports. Madeline, it's always cool to see athletes from Oklahoma have success on the national level.
That's right, Reagan. And you know, former Chandler, Oklahoma High School and OU pitching star John Gray has been bouncing back and forth between Oklahoma and Colorado for years. And if you look and see, he had short hair back when he was in Norman. After the Rockies selected him with the #3 overall pick in the 2013 draft, Gray was assigned to the Grand Junction, Colorado Rookie Club.
Yes, and then it was back to Oklahoma in 2014 to throw for the AA Tulsa Drillers. And after a quick stop in AAA Albuquerque, it's been all big leagues for Gray. But with all that moving around and even changing his appearance, he still couldn't shake our very own Holden Kruismark off his trail.
Former Sooner pitching great Jonathan Gray is climbing mountains here with the Colorado Rockies. The former #3 overall pick in 2013 made his debut in 2015 and has quickly climbed up in the Rockies rotation.
Well, John made great strides last year in his performance. You know, the durability factor stands out. He made his starts. I think he finished strong, finished the season strong, held his stuff.
Gray finished 6th overall in Rookie of the Year voting last season and has since been working on adding a curveball to his pitching repertoire.
On it, I haven't had a problem with it. It seems like a pitch that's usually there every single day, so it's pretty reliable, and it's just going to make everything else better.
In addition to working on his curveball here at spring training, Gray has also been looking to find more consistency in his pitching throughout the season.
I just want to see a consistent player. I don't want to see, a guy that go out and do a 7 innings, no runs, and the next time he's 4 innings, 5 runs. I don't want to be that guy. So. I think consistency is what I'm really attacking.
Rockies manager Bud Black wasn't ready to name his opening day starter, but most projections have Gray as the team's #1 starter heading into the season.
Holden Kruismark, OU Nightly Sports.
Ouch. Big man Pero Antic, who used to play for the Atlanta Hawks before coming to the Turkish League, swings his fist in blind celebration right into the face of his teammate, Nikola Kalinic. I wonder if he'll get fined for something like that. You know that would happen in the NBA.
I'll tell you what, if that was Russ, he would definitely get fined. And probably
without
suspended.
a doubt. Pretty much any NBA player.
But big news. A recruit that we thought were going to come to Oklahoma, Michael Porter, is now going to Missouri. Poor Trae Young, pretty upset about that. But, you know, things happen. Recruits do their thing. But thanks for watching Big Friday Sports, brought to you by the Gaylord College of Journalism and Mass Communication on the campus of the University of Oklahoma.
Have a good evening.
Good night.